Want to join in? Call or text the show at 573-875-KTGR. The Big Show starts now.
You bet it does. Welcome into Thursday's edition of The Big Show on your total sports station, KTGR. Andy Humphrey, Brenden Schaefer here. Great to have you with us as we play our over-unders game today. We also give out grades to the Chiefs, who have hit the halfway point of their season. Played 9 games, 8 to go. They're on the bye. Mid-season grade time for the Chiefs. How do you grade 5 and 4, Brenden?
Meh.
I mean, for this team.
It's not what you wanted. I
Nope.
mean, that's for sure.
Nope. So we'll get to that. We'll get to fantasy football talk. Get you ready for Thursday night. Play Fade Eliminate at 5:25. Going to have Eli Hoff of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch discuss all things Mizzou A&M with us at 4:25. We'll talk about Jordan Bennington trying to make a buck off the OV 900th goal and everything like that. Call or text us at 573-875-KTGR. You can also tweet us at KTGR Big Show and find us on Facebook at facebook.com/KTGR Big Show.
Now, the Big Show's Big Deal.
Questionable tag on Brett Norfleet, tight end for Mizzou, as the first SEC availability report was released last night. There will be 3 more updates before the Tigers take on Texas A&M at 2:30 on Saturday. But Norfleet trying to get back after he got injured in the Vanderbilt game with what looked to be a shoulder issue. Didn't come back in that game, but Eli Drinkwitz characterized him as more day-to-day than anything else and is questionable this week, it would appear. As expected, Bo Prabula listed as out, and it will be true freshman Matt Zowers making his first college start for Mizzou as the number 22 Tigers in the college football playoff ranking take on number 3 Texas A&M at 2:30 on Saturday. Pre-game coverage begins right here on KTGR with the Yingling Tiger Game Day show at 11:30. Hope you join us for that. And that is the Big Show's Big Deal on the 6th day of November 2025. You can call or text us here at 573-875-KTGR. And so promising news on that front that Brett Norfleet could be ready to go for the Tigers in this one. It seems a bit more optimistic than obviously the Bo Prabula injury was. Both did not look good in the moment, but it seems that now Norfleet has a better chance of making an impact this weekend.
Well, at least has a chance, as you know, being on the questionable side of things is still having it up in the air. But yeah, we knew that Bo was not going to be involved. So better than a 0 chance. But I don't know. Like, it's interesting that it was originally day to day, and then you had the bye week, and now you know we're getting. I think Pete Thamel said it last night that it was going to be questionable, and so you know we'll continue to see if there's anything more given than that, and that you know because that's really all you're going to get from the availability report, I would think.
Yeah, for now, but then it looks like I would guess that it's still questionable when they update tonight, and then on Friday you might see the questionable tag again, but you might also see a Thamel tweet saying, "Oh, he's good," or he's not playing, whatever,
or he's not,
whatever it might be. So that's the thought on that with Brett Norfleet. But look, that could be a major help to a guy like Matt Zowers. Although the way he threw to Jude James was also pretty impressive. I wonder how much they turn to the tight end position in general in this game. Like maybe we just set it at that. Over or under 4.5 receptions by tight ends in this game for Mizzou. It doesn't even matter which ones.
I think it would matter, though. Like, if Norfleet's not available, I think it's going to be tough to get over the number. But if you have him chipping in, I think Jude James would probably still have a role. Jordan Harris, maybe. So I think that's tied to whether or not Norfleet plays for me. But if he does, I would say over. Yeah.
I almost think it's over regardless because they threw to James a few times.
No, for sure.
And it might just have to be quick passing when you go up against this A&M front. They've got excellent defensive ends. And so maybe you want to give as easy of throws as possible for Matt Zowers to at least start out to operate the offense. And then you know that he can also stretch the field with his arm talent. And Eli Drinkwitz has made that known that, look, that's the best thing we like about this guy is his arm and what he can do with it and how he can stretch defenses potentially as he starts to grow. And so you do have to start with those baby steps, though, of making sure the defense respects what Matt Zowers can do in the short and intermediate game before you then take the top off the defense like that, or at least attempt to. So I would say I'd take the over on that for just in general, because I think they like how Jude James played in that situation similarly to how Matt Zowers did. I mean, two guys that were basically in the same spot. Like, you're taking on the role for the starter that usually is gaining a lot more of those opportunities. For Prabila, it's all of them, and for Norfleet, it's most. Like, they do change out the tight ends every so often, but I thought they liked how both of them played, and so, give them a shot at least to try and develop some more.
Yeah, I think there was good rapport there, good chemistry there with Zellers, which was, good to see. I think if that's the number, you said 4.5.
Yeah.
I don't know how many games Norfleet was clearing that by himself. And it probably would be a team effort to get it there. Because I do think that they'll be looking to the wide receivers as well. Like, we want to see those short passes probably involved. And that's something that Kirby Moore has had in the offense with Bo and even probably after. But I also think downfield, you could see more of that attack. And so that might involve the wide receivers a little bit more. And I also I don't know. It's hard to get a feel for what this game's going to be in terms of, we've seen Mizzou games on the higher scoring side where you're getting a lot of possessions. We've seen like the Vanderbilt game where it ends up being lower scoring and more of a ball control type of game.
Well, with that type of situation, that would probably mean Ahmad Hardy, right? Like,
yeah, I think it has to. Yeah.
Right? Like, whatever his numbers are, I don't know what they are at the moment, but that would have to be something that Mizzou turns. Like, if you're saying this is going to be a Mizzou upset win, then Ahmad Hardy has to be over everything, right? Everything.
I think that the offense has to run through him, and I feel like we've been saying this for a bunch of different games and a bunch of different weeks, and sometimes we've kind of seen it come to fruition, and other times not as much. We're still kind of in that period where I'm looking to see if we can find some numbers for him, because that game's not till Saturday, of course. But what do you think? If I said 89.5 rushing yards, is that enough to get it done? If you say, yeah, clear that, you feel like Mizzou's in a good spot, or does he need to go even beyond something like that?
How's A&M against the run? That's what I want to know. It's that could be a huge part of it. A&M is relative to the SEC about middle of the pack, 7th in the SEC in yards allowed per game on the ground at 118.5.
And a little more recently, I'm seeing 134 over their last 3 games. So, like, it's still the SEC. It's still, good defense, but I would say that's an area relative to what Mizzou has seen recently that you might be able to, I don't know if exploit is the right word, but you have to try. I mean, you have to try to establish the run and put Zollers into better situations when it's second down, third down. It's gotta be through the run game.
Yeah. Again, I think when you're game planning against A&M, I think you just assume that there's no one thing that they are extra good at, but they're also like, there's a floor to every aspect of their game, and it's higher than most. And so you just treat them as, look, just assume that they're going to be a certain level of good everywhere. So just play your game. And like, that's ultimately what Mizzou has to focus on, is like not what A&M is best at, because there isn't a thing that they're best at. They're just really good at a lot of different areas. And so if you're spending too much time trying to say, well, if it let up a few more pass yards the other, no, like they'll find ways to then shore that up by watching tape and making sure that they don't have those breakdowns again. So I would say that if it's just Mizzou trying to get back to their own basics, which it's nice that they had the bye week to essentially let them do that, well, then you have to ride Ahmad Hardy in this game. That's what got you the stability on offense early in the season. I know that was lesser competition, but head back to that and just see if it can translate to this opponent. Like, it has to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, Texas A&M, with the numbers that they have had recently has given up a little bit in the defense, like 25 points to LSU. Obviously, that devolved into more of just kind of a blowout game. But that's a higher point total than I would say some of these teams that we've seen from Mizzou, like Auburn. They're not really giving up 25 very often. They give up 42 to Arkansas. That was a game where never really felt like Texas A&M was going to lose the game, but that's their last two results. And we really hadn't seen performances like that from them since the Notre Dame game, which was very early in the season. They went on a run where their defense was really standing out against Auburn, Mississippi State, and Florida. There is something to the fact that they've either let up a little bit on that side of the ball or have had those types of results.
Call or text us with what you want us to weigh in on for over-unders, 573-875-KTGR here on the Big Show, as we had said for Mizzou, Texas A&M this Saturday. So I wouldn't think that Matt Zowers has any numbers available on
I'm not seeing
sportsbook.com.
Right now. I'm not seeing anything for Mizzou's game. I'm looking at a few different places to try and find that, but it still feels like it might be a little early in the week.
But what's the expectation then for Zowers? Because you can't say there are no expectations. Like there's at least some. What do you expect his total would be?
I don't know if it's passing yards. That is my biggest question. I think they're going to have to be able to move the ball through the air, but I want to set the bar of, all right, limit turnovers. Where would you set the line on an interception? Is it just 0.5?
Yeah.
Do you worry that it's higher like that? I think his passing yards, it could be 170 and it could be 210 and it could be 240. And I don't know that any of those numbers are going to tell me for sure how Mizzou did in the game. Obviously, more is better, but I think it's more about the run game and more about Zollers converting in the key spots. Like, what's the third down conversion percentage? You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. That's really going to decide, I think, Mizzou's success. But I don't know. I'll set it at 209.5.
That's what I was going to say.
Dollars.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I feel like that's a fair number.
And I don't know what I would do with it either. I don't know how instructive it is. And I don't know that I can confidently say he'll go over it. I think you kind of have to hope for Mizzou that this isn't as much one of those defensive struggles of a game.
Yeah, because that's what A&M wants, I think.
I think so, but A&M has also won shootouts too. They've had multiple shootout wins where they've given up at least 40 points, but they've scored one more than their opponent. But I think for Mizzou, it's if this is that kind of struggle, I don't know if we're even getting to 17. If you're going to tell me that the script of the game is going to be, the offense is going to be rough, well, that's scary because I feel like A&M's defense is going to be able to hop on you on the things that you aren't doing well. And that could end up for a long day. And I don't know that you limit A&M's offense to less than 20 points or 23 points.
Right.
They have been so potent offensively that I guess the same was true of Vanderbilt. And that one played out to a low score, but that was an example where Mizzou in a low scoring game didn't fare so well. They didn't come up with that.
Offensively, full scale. All 11 players on the field. A&M's a better offense than Vandy. I think
there's no doubt about that. In my opinion.
Yeah, you can say that Pavia is potentially a better quarterback than Marcel Reed, and I think that's fine. But
I don't even know if that's true.
Right, we're starting to question that a little bit. But I think full scale, you talk about A&M's offense being a lot more prolific than Vanderbilt's has been even all season long.
And I think so too. Vanderbilt's still rated in the football power index as the number one efficiency offensively in the country.
Yeah,
which is,
I don't know if I believe that.
I think they got a favorable rating from the fourth quarter of that Texas game where they were out of it because of the way that their offense and defense collectively was playing. And then they put up a bunch of points at the end where it was I don't know, the game wasn't over. They get that onside kick and they could have still beaten Texas. But I think that probably factors into them maybe more favorably than they deserve. For what it's worth, Texas A&M number 9 in the country in offensive efficiency. They are 18th defensively.
And here's the thing. You talked about turnovers. How many times will Matt Zowers do it? Just 2 interceptions all year for A&M. 2. That's it. All year. That's lowest in the SEC for sure. Everyone else has at least 5 on defense.
Mm-hmm.
And so, look, it's not to say that they can't find themselves in the right positions against a true freshman quarterback. Like, a lot of that is just happenstance, how the ball bounces at times. So it is something that you look at, but you also it's more so on the quarterback to say, okay, don't put yourself in those situations. Don't give them an opportunity to pick off a pass that's easily interceptable or anything like that. So yeah, the mistake management from Matt Zowers has to be key, because there will be a few, but making sure that they are overcomable will be the next challenge for that.
Yeah, and hopefully those mistakes, you get away with a couple of them too. Like, if you're going to make 3, hopefully A&M, doesn't capitalize on the majority of them and give you a chance to get away with some stuff. I think you're going to have to be good, but you might have to be lucky as well to win this game. You got to have some things go your way, some of those breaks.
James texting in, Hardy at this one sports book is rushing for 90+ yards at -126.
There you go. So that 89.5 wasn't far off either.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit higher to get to like a -110. But I think I'm going to say it's over. I'm going to weigh in and say over. I'm going to say that is necessary. I think if it's under, Missouri can't win.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I think that is like a very identifiable key to the game of, can he have this impact where A&M's given up a few more of these kind of chunk plays on the ground. They've been a little bit more lax on the ground defensively in their recent games than what they've been for the season. Can you as an offense identify that, like, this is the way that we're going to have to break through in this game? And yes, Zollers is going to have to make plays, but we know that the Hardy thing works when everything is rolling. And I've said already this week, offensive line has to allow that for Hardy. I think, like, he can't do it on his own. We've seen him try, and he gets pretty close. But if he's getting hit in the backfield on every play, it's going to be hard to get to that number.
So how many carries does it take to get to that number then?
Oh,
because that matters too.
Yeah, I mean, saying over 90, he could be to 110. He could be to 120. He was 97 against Vanderbilt, like 20 carries, 90, 100 yards. I would set the carry number at probably 18 and a half, 19 and a half, and I would take over it no matter what the number is, because I think that has to be the way that they approach it. And we've been saying it for weeks, and they did. I mean, he got 20 carries against Vanderbilt, but I think, and it averaged 5 yards per carry. Like, it was moderately successful in that game. So you just have to continue to feed him and hope that he breaks one,
Yeah, it's going to be crucial for a game like this for Mizzou to control the line of scrimmage and allow their run game to operate. And then on the other side, well, you have to affect Marcel Reed in some way. He's got multiple deep threats to throw to in this one.
Yeah, the receivers are good.
Yeah, it's just that's going to be the tough part. If Mizzou can hold A&M to under 2.5 explosive plays, let's say passing plays of 20 yards or more, you think they win this?
I don't think that's instructive.
Really?
No. I mean, they did that against Alabama, didn't they? They weren't really giving up over the top against Bama.
Yeah, they had some. I don't know exactly how many.
It was after the catch, I think, if so. Because
sure.
they weren't giving up long bombs, really. So, no, I don't think that's one that I would say is a key. Obviously, you want less than more, but I don't know that stopping that implies that Mizzou wins, because I think we have seen teams be able to get Mizzou into the, like Alabama, and get them into that 3rd and 8, and then, or the 4th and 7, and then it only takes a 7-yard completion to continue that drive. So I don't know. I think that they can hold that. I think they can hold A&M to that, despite having that type of explosiveness. If the number is 20 through the air, I think they can have fewer than 3 of those. I'm not sure that if you told me we know for sure that it will be, I don't know that that's going to necessarily give me any additional confidence. I think that one might have to just be baked in, where you say, can't have too many of those, but stopping it doesn't necessarily mean the offense can't find other ways to beat this defense.
Well, the third downs were also the key in that one. Alabama got 40% of theirs.
And whichever ones they didn't get, they got on fourth down, is the way that it seemed.
Yeah, fourth down. No, that they don't include the fourth down on there. Wow. Okay. And I think it's not all the way instructive. You can limit those, but then maybe they break off big run plays. Like explosives are the main part of it. You can also offset them by having explosives on your side, and maybe it becomes that type of game again that A&M has been in recently. Teams just go back and forth with trading points. But is that a game that Mizzou can stay in? I'm not so sure with a true freshman quarterback.
Yeah, and it's hard to think statistically about everything and say what's going to be the key, what needs to change. Because if you look, we've talked about this. If you look at the Vanderbilt game, statistically, Mizzou was dominant in every regard. I mean, they had more passing yards, they had more rushing yards, they had, almost perfect fourth down efficiency. They were okay on third downs offensively. They're pretty good defensively on third downs. Vandy was only 3 of 10. I guess pretty good defensively. They held time of possession. The over-under game we're playing here after the Vandy game specifically is a scary one because I don't know what any of these stats might mean, even if we tell you they're all going to be good.
Mizzou had good stats
in
against
the clutch.
Yeah, exactly.
They got to execute in the meaningful spots. There needs to be an under 0.5 fourth and goal stall outs where they don't score if they're going for it on fourth and goal. They got to have the big plays in this game, not explosives. They got to have the key plays where there's 3 moments in a game that ends up being a one possession game that they end up making those 3 plays and stopping A&M from doing the same.
That's pretty key right there. Because again, Mizzou has had several games that they have won the stats battle, or they've had the stats battle just dominated and they only won by 9, like in the case of South Carolina or in the case of Kansas. There's no question as to who was going to win that game if you just looked at the box score and not the final score, but it ended up being a lot closer than it probably should have been. And Mizzou lost that game against Vandy with, I think, better success in some of those numbers than in a lot of those cases. So, yeah, it just comes down to maybe get a bounce here and there, or you have a chance to capitalize on a favorable fourth down situation. Lots could happen. But call or text us with over-unders, 573-875-KTGR. Tony, quickly here on the KTGR hotline. Tony, what you got, my friend?
Can we talk about the weather in this game?
It's supposed to. What'd you say, Tony?
Under on the wind.
Oh, the wind. Oh, I see. I haven't looked to see what the breezy conditions will look like for what. What are you looking at?
Well, you saw the forecast for Sunday. And that means it's going to be windy Saturday with that cold front moving in. So whenever that front moves in, that plays to Mizzou's favor. If this can be a running game, because passing yards, they're hard to come by. I kind of like that for Mizzou. If you can keep this a defensive battle, take away a little bit of the passing game, you keep it low scoring. Defense is good for Mizzou. I know they've got a freshman quarterback. I do take the over on your tight end catches. I think it's going to have to be a lot of those short passes, a lot of those kind of passes to tight ends, and I think over 4.5 makes sense to me. I like Mizzou if it's windy and if they can play good defense.
Appreciate the call, Tony, here on the Big Show. To his points, I'm looking at my weather app, and I'm seeing a forecast of 14-mile-per-hour winds expected in Columbia for this game. So at least kicking game will obviously have to adjust to that. I don't know how much the passing game does. It does at times. I think it has to get really windy in order for it to really affect how you're throwing the football or how many times you're doing it. But you never know. We'll see. Mizzou could be better suited with it by running the ball because that's what we've been asking for, Brenden, all last few weeks or so. Mott Hardy, he's right
run
there.
The ball. Let's see it.
He's right there. 573-875-KTGR. If you want to call or text us here with your over-unders. We will talk all things Mizzou A&M with Eli Hoff, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, as he joins us next to break things down from all angles there. Have him next year on The Big Show, KTGR.
The The Big Show with Andy and Brenden continues next on your total sports station, KTGR.
This is Kim with Hearing Aid Consultants. I am truly honored to be voted Jefferson City's best, and that wouldn't have happened without our genuine and outstanding patients. We focus on continually serving those struggling with hearing loss with the best value in hearing aid technology in the area. If you are interested in a comprehensive hearing evaluation and solutions, please see us in Jefferson City, Hearing Aid Consultants in Allmake Repair Lab. We are here for you today so you can hear tomorrow. HearingAidConsultants.com.
The following is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales of vacation ownership. For complete details, visit fvgradio.com.
If you want a 100% complimentary stay at a luxury resort in Cancun, airfare not included, then Family Vacation Getaways is your ticket to paradise.
See website for complete details.
We're giving away 5 days and 4 nights to the first 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird.
An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it?
Call now, 800-417-6411. 800-417-6411. You're also eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $498. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and you get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $498. What are you waiting for? Call 800-417-6411 and give us your answer.
The proceeding is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways and not sponsored by this program or its affiliates.
Save big money on your next painting project at Menards. Get a paint that combines gorgeous color and durability. Dutch Boys Platinum Plus is a paint and primer with a protective finish that guards against scuffs, spills, and stains. Refresh your home today with Dutch Boy paint. Get a gallon on sale now through November 9th. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Hi, I'm Rainey.
And I'm Leland.
And we're with Betts Jewelers. It's almost time for our 13th annual Fall Color Show.
Join us on Thursday, November 20th from noon to 7.
Come pop a balloon to reveal your prize. You can win your purchase 20% to 40% off. Or for free up to $5,000.
Can't wait to see you at Betts Jewelers for our Fall Color Show.
Noon to 7, baby. November 20th.
Beautiful moments begin at Betts. Begin at Betts.
Dean Jones with Living Canvas Tattoo and Body Piercing in downtown Columbia. I've been partnered with Zimmer for the last 20 years doing advertising, and they've been a big help. I've learned a lot from them. They've offered me a lot of resources to help grow the company, grow the brand. That's why all of you listening to this right now know who we are and have heard of us before, because Zimmer does such an exceptional job helping businesses grow.
Zimmer Communications. You know business. We grow business. ZimmerCommunications.com. 1851 Underground in Fulton is a unique spot with delicious menu items like the prime rib sandwich, sliced and stacked with pepper jack cheese, caramelized onion, creamy horseradish, and crispy onion straws, all on ciabatta bread. Grab some friends and check out the daily happy hour from 3 to 5, weekends included. Enjoy a craft beer or a cocktail. It's no secret, but it is underground. 1851 Underground Tap and Grill in the historic Brick District, downtown Fulton.
Tired of calling Andy and Brenden? So are their wives. Then shoot them a text right now. 573-875-KTGR and become part of the Big Show.
Well, huge game coming up in Columbia for Mizzou as they take on number 3 Texas A&M. You can weigh in with us, 573-875-KTGR. You want to call us or text us with your thoughts on it. But let's get the thoughts of Eli Hoff of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, who joins us now to talk all things Mizzou and Texas A&M. First off, Eli, with how this gets positioned in relation to the college football playoff, which we heard the very first ranking this week. Mizzou comes in at number 22, a little bit lower than the polls had originally shown them earlier in the season. So with them starting at that spot, how do you view what nationally the 13 people that matter, their opinions, what they think of Mizzou going forward?
Yeah, the first CFP rankings of the season definitely had Mizzou lower than I personally expected, just based on even what the AP polls are for this week. Mizzou's number 19 in the AP poll right now. I'm not sure how much it matters, right? These CFP rankings right now, we do them this early, or they do them this early so that we can talk about them and all that. I think it just largely confirms that Mizzou needs to do a lot to be able to make the playoff, and by a lot I mean go 4-0 and win out. And if that happens, I think this will get taken care of regardless of where the starting spot is. But it does just go to show that in case there was any doubt, Mizzou as of right now is not a playoff team. It needs to do something to get back into that conversation.
And lucky for the Tigers, they've got the number 3 team in the country coming to town on Saturday. Eli, as you look at this matchup and break down what we could see, Mizzou about a touchdown underdog, depending on where you look. What's the key for the Tigers offensively to be able to get it done against a defense that's a good defense, but they've given up point totals on the road before, and you've, of course, got to try to cater your game plan to the freshman quarterback, Matt Zollers?
Yeah, I think, and this isn't groundbreaking analysis, but so much of it has to center around Zollers and just trying to make this like a feasible game for him and a feasible game plan and something he's comfortable with. So there's a play calling component to that. There's just a blocking component to that of give him the time so that he doesn't have to be panicking every time he's back in the pocket, so that he can use that arm that we know he has, that we've seen in his limited action early in the season, and we saw at Vanderbilt. He can throw the ball. There's no doubt about that. So when I hear Coach Drinkwitz and some of these players talk all week about it being about reducing friction for him, I really do think that's the key. And then to get a little more technical, also just trying to stay out of third down as much as possible. Texas A&M is the nation's best third down defense, only allowing conversions about 22% of the time. You don't want to be in those situations. So getting good gains on first and second down, whether that's Zollers with his arm or Ahmad Hardy with his legs, I think that becomes even more important in this game.
Eli Hoff, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch here on the Big Show KTGR. I'm not sure how much we might have seen it in Zollers' time against Vanderbilt 2 weeks ago, but with Eli Drinkwitz talking about earlier this week about how you don't necessarily change too much of the playbook or what's available to him, but just maybe different things that you could do with Matt Zollers versus maybe Bo Prabula. Not necessarily to say better or worse, but just how differently could this look with how Mizzou approaches it with Matt Zollers, aside from the fact that he's a true freshman and he's making his first college start, and there's obviously jitters and everything that goes in with that.
Yeah, this is aside from the outcome of the game, this is the thing that I'm most interested in seeing, how much adaptation there is, because Matt Zollers has a level of throwing ability that we never saw from Bo Prabula that could open up downfield throws a little bit more. We're talking like 15, 20 plus yards downfield. I think that might be more available with Zollers than it was for Prabula. Now, being able to make that throw is one thing. That needs to be a good throw that isn't into double coverage or situations like that. So that's where the freshman element of it comes in. I think you could see some of that. Zollers is a very capable runner. He's a very athletic guy. He's not as much of a dual threat quarterback, so I think you might see a little bit less of the design quarterback runs, which would also make sense for the sake of not losing a third quarterback to an injury this season. You might see that scaled back a little bit. So I would lean towards more pocket passing, more downfield stuff if Mizzou's really going to adjust this offense for Zollers.
On the other side, Eli, how do you view the task for the Tigers now that they will get a chance to oppose Marcel Reed? Maybe we thought it was going to be the case last year. Drinkwitz making reference and joking about that earlier this week. What's the challenge and what type of player is Marcel Reed relative to maybe some of those dual threats the Tigers have seen already this year?
Yeah, well, Mizzou should be ready because they've been prepping him for like a year and a month at this point. So it's all about to pay off this week. I think a lot of it with him is about containment. He's probably it's hard. Pavi is in his own class, right? So Pavi is maybe the best of this group of mobile quarterbacks, but Marcel Reed, I think, is the most dangerous. Comparing him to Lamar Jackson this week is kind of crazy, but honestly not that far off when you watch Marcel Reed play and what he's able to unlock. I think the key for him is to try to make him uncomfortable with some of the throws. When he has Mario Craver, when he has Casey Concepcion open, he's going to make that throw. He's a talented quarterback. If he feels like he has to force it, that's where it can get a little dicier for him. And then for these DNs, Don't do what they did with Jackson Arnold. Don't rush past him. Don't open up running lanes for him. Keep him settled in the pocket and force him to make those throws. He's going to make some of them, but just try to make life as difficult as possible for him, because there's a talent threshold with A&M that they're going to be able to get a lot done. Don't gift them anything on top of that.
Eli Hoff of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch here on the Big Show KTGR. With their run game, how daunting is that for Mizzou, considering that, look, they've been a strong run defense for most of this season, but at times they've allowed a few leakouts here and there.
Yeah, I think that has to be a source of confidence for Mizzou. Like the front six at large has to be a source of confidence, and that comes from stopping the run. A&M not having Le'Veon Moss is obviously an advantage. He's out injured. But as Drink pointed out, it's not like there's nobody else at running back for A&M. Like they have other good tailbacks there. To me, it's largely about stifling the designed quarterback runs, and Mizzou's been pretty good at that so far this season. Again, the defensive front at large has been good. Again, Marcel Reed's going to beat you with some scrambles. That's fine. Just take away some of the design stuff, and I do think that's really, really important for this defensive front. And I think they're entirely capable of that too, based on what they've shown.
Yeah, and we'll see how all of that matches up. Now, Eli, it's a game that has a lot on the line for implications for just being in the playoff and everything like that. But just addressing the elephant in the room, it could be even more meaningful with the future of the program, and maybe specifically for one Eli Drinkwitz, because if they lose this, they're most likely not making the playoff, and then the talk turns to something different for what Mizzou is potentially going to have next year. So with that aspect of it, how big do you view this game in relation to maybe others that Mizzou has had in the past?
Yeah, I'm not sure if and maybe when it's all said and done, we will look back at this game as the single determinant factor in whether or not Drink stays or Drink goes. I struggle to see it that way right now at this point in time. Obviously, if he does leave and Mizzou is not, or if they do lose and he's eligible to be coaching somewhere else when it's playoff time, like that makes him more appealing to a Florida or an LSU or an Auburn or Penn State. I think those schools are interested anyway, right? To me, this is more about what this whole last month of the season is going to show as far as Mizzou's ability to compete in what he has with this roster. If I'm from Florida or Auburn and I'm making a pitch to Eli Drinkwitz, I'm leaning into the fact that Mizzou has not won a national championship and saying, hey, you can win national titles at Florida or Auburn, even Penn State, maybe. Well, we'll see. But that's the pitch they can make. Mizzou can't make that same pitch, right? That's where those schools can differentiate. They need Mizzou to be out of playoff contention for that pitch to even have a chance of working. So again, this all at the end of the day is going to come down to what Eli Drinkwitz wants to do. It maybe greases the wheels a little bit if they lose, but I do struggle to see this game as any sort of backbreaker when it comes to that.
Is there an element of it, though, that really does feel like a culmination one way or another when it comes to sort of the mentality that this team and Eli Drinkwitz have looked to forge, and it's always about something to prove, right? And this would be an opportunity to prove what it seems kind of like nationally people are looking at and saying, well, your third string quarterback, A&M's unbeaten, like they're going to Atlanta. Could this be like literally the culmination of that STP mentality if Mizzou finds a way to finally get over the hump in one of these types of games?
Oh, absolutely. And I'll go back to Eli Drinkwitz's Tuesday press conference. I walked in there not really expecting him to be in a great mood, because it seems like it's not even that there's a lot of negativity around his program this week. It's just Mizzou's kind of been written off. You have him as the betting favorite for some of these other jobs. They got the third string quarterback. Like it seems like people are kind of out on his team. Again, not saying they're bad, but just kind of out on the idea of them. And then he was in a really great mood and really talkative and seemed to be leaning into some of this. And what I kind of realized sitting there watching him talk is that this isn't a team that feels like its back is against the wall. This is a team that is playing with house money and likes it that way. They have nothing to lose at this point. If they're out of the conversation by the end of the week, then nothing has really changed. They weren't in the conversation. They're not in the conversation today. So if they aren't on Sunday, oh, well, nothing's changed. But if they can win this game, they're back in it in a big way. And I think that really suits what he's built. I think that suits the way he has recruited these players, the way he has sold this program to them. So in that way, there weirdly is a lot more opportunity than pressure for Mizzou in this game when you look at it from that lens.
Eli Hoff of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch here on the Big Show KTGR. So, Eli, what would you say for a prediction right now?
I just said all that, but I'm not feeling all that optimistic. I'm going to say Texas A&M 28, Mizzou 20. This feels like a game to me that Mizzou is close and has opportunities, but the story of the season has been Mizzou having opportunities and coming up a little short. So I as much as this will make me public enemy number one around here, I have to, if I'm gonna go with this team playing like it has to this point. They can happily prove me wrong, and that'd be great. But I think that the talent of A&M is just so hard to ignore.
It is, for sure. We'll see what happens between these two as they meet up on Saturday at 2:30. And great to catch up with Eli Hoff, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, @ByEliHoff on Twitter. And go and subscribe to the St. Louis Post to see all of his great Mizzou coverage all season long. Eli, thanks for coming on the Big Show. Hope you're well. I'll talk again soon.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, guys.
You bet. It is 4:42 here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Like, I actually don't know which way I'm leaning yet, but I would not. I would have said Monday after Vanderbilt. No, I'm not picking this team to beat A&M. Of course, time has passed, and belief and hope has crept in.
By the time we get to Friday, before a game, I become a different person almost. But I do think Eli doesn't have to worry about it this time when it comes to the reference you made to public enemy number one. If you pick against Mizzou, obviously our buddy Zach Sweet reference there in that with his Kansas pick. But like, he ain't going to be the only one this week that doesn't think Mizzou's going to win this game. But to Eli's point, maybe that's the way that they need it to get, that Drink needs it to get his guys like in the mind frame to say like, look, this is literally the pinnacle of what our program has kind of been espousing for the last couple of years. Like, let's go do it when everybody says we're not going to. And maybe this will be the time that it's different. When it feels like everything's on the line, not just on this season, but as you alluded to with your question to Eli, more than just this year's program could be up in the air. Not to say it'll be it'll be the determinant, but it could be a determining factor in the way some future moving and shaking is allowed to happen. If Mizzou is no longer looking at playoff, there will be poachers that think, hey, this is our time to swoop in and really start pressing with the agent and with whatever. In those kind of conversations.
And it might not be this game in particular either. Like, you could win it, but then lose down the road and then be having the same conversation.
This is the next game. And so if you lose it, then
this
we
is
do
the
know
first
what that
game
looks like.
that Mizzou can be just flat out eliminated with. Like, not necessarily the case. It kind of felt that way when they lost to Vanderbilt, but not quite all the way out of it. This one would do it. Like, you need all four of these upcoming remaining games if you want to be considered. So that'll be what Mizzou's task is going forward. And look, you can just say, hey, just take them one game at a time. That's what you tell yourself, of course. But we'll see what happens this first time around for Mizzou as they come off the bye and take on Texas A&M. All right, Under the Bus is coming up next. Jordan Bennington. He gave his own story. What story do we believe for the Jordan Bennington, act that he tried to make sure nobody noticed last night after Alex Ovechkin scored his 900th goal? That's next.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon, I'm Ben Hermes, and this live local sports center is brought to you by Lee's Tire Company. If it's around in rubber, Lee sells it. Lee'sTireCompany.com. Mizzou football is gearing up to host third-ranked Texas A&M on Saturday from Memorial Stadium. The only Tiger listed as questionable on the SEC student-athlete availability report was tight end Brett Norfleet. Final word about his status won't come out until the final report comes out 90 minutes prior to Saturday's kickoff, which is set at 2:30 right here on KTGR. Mizzou women's basketball will head on the road for the first time in this young season as they travel south to take on Tulane. The Tigers are 1-0 on the year as they were able to defeat the University of Central Arkansas 78-71 on Monday night. The Tigers will look to improve to 2-0 on the year. They're set to tip off at 6:30 right here on KTGR. And it's senior day at the Hearn Center for Mizzou volleyball as they gear up to host second-ranked Kentucky. This will be the sixth-ranked opponent that the Tigers have played on the season. So far, the Tigers are 1-4 against those ranked opponents. Their lone victory coming last Friday against Tennessee. Mizzou will look to make it 2-0 this evening with first serve at 6 o'clock. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is with Steve's Pest Control. The fall invasion is here. Call Steve and the pros at Steve's Pest Control today to help stop the fall pests from invading your home. Call or go online to stevespestcontrol.com.
I'm tracking a mild end to the week with temperatures tonight in the 50s. We could see a few spotty sprinkles in our northern counties overnight, but almost everyone stays dry. Clouds clear out tomorrow, and temperatures could be near 70 with sunshine on Friday. More showers are expected on Saturday, possibly during the Mizzou game, but rain will be very light, and a big cool down is expected for the end of the weekend. I'm meteorologist Nate Splater, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
All the hard hits.
He's under pressure, and down he goes. Inside the 20-yard line.
All the jaw-dropping moments.
Makes a man miss. 30, 20, near sideline, 10, 5, touchdown.
KTGR is your home for the high school football game of the week.
Oh, my goodness.
It's the district semifinals as the Hickman Cupies visit the Helias Crusaders.
Coverage starts with high school kickoff Friday night at 6 on Mid-Missouri's Total Sports Station, KTGR.
It affects hundreds of millions of people each year. The need for diabetes awareness is greater now than ever before. It's National Diabetes Awareness Month, and since diabetes is the leading cause of amputation, Boone Hospital Wound Healing Center reminds you that they offer several treatments, including their hyperbaric oxygen treatment to help prevent the worst-case scenario.
Real healing starts here. Boone Hospital, Boone Healing Center.
Learn more at boone.health today.
We're moving faster and faster these days with limited time to make an impact on potential customers. Hi, this is Jimmy at Pro Designs. For nearly 2 decades, we've worked with companies to build strong brands. At Pro Designs, our team can create a vehicle wrap to drive market share, growth, and profits. Connect with your customers on the go, on the road, and on the job site.
Visit us on the web at PRODEZIGNS.com.
Come see them at their locations in Eldon or Columbia off Rangeline Street and I-70.
Pro Designs, but better than a billboard.
It was 1 p.m. on a Monday when the phone rang. Brian Ware Plumbing answered the call. It was a family in panic. Their toilet was more backed up than the connector at 63 and I-70. Brian's team quickly found the culprit. It was a mouse. No, not a cheese-hoarding Stuart Little type. A mouse for a computer was stuffed in their toilet. They also asked Brian Ware's restoration expert Josh if they had to worry about water damage and mold down the line. But everything was all good. And that's the end of this tale. Better call Brian and unplug your plumbing problems. BrianWarePlumbing.com.
Let's talk numbers, because if you're a fan of stats, you'll want to hear this. Flight by Yuengling has just 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's light beer that actually brings some game day flavor. Whether you're at the tailgate or watching from the couch, Flight delivers that crisp, refreshing taste without the extra baggage. Brewed by the oldest brewery in America, so you know it's legit. Flight by Yuengling, the next generation of light beer. DG Yuengling & Son, Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
This is Nevada Schauke with True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, and I'm the Exterior Director of Sales. In the construction industry, the last few years, we've had a roller coaster ride. One thing that has stayed pretty consistent or common is that vendors have continued to raise prices on materials. We have called up to collaborate with some of our large vendors that we work with to offer some year-end promotions. If you're looking to replace your roof, upgrade your deck to composite, replace your old worn-out windows and doors, give us a call. We also offer several financing options to meet most budgets. Your project must be purchased by the end of the year. This is a unique opportunity to save some money on your next home renovation.
The difference between a house and a home is the attention to detail. At True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, we'll turn your vision of a dream home into a reality. For more information or a free estimate, go to TrueSunExteriors.com.
TrueSunExteriors.com. The warm scent of maple spiced coffee fills the air. And is that a hint of Caribbean rum? That must be Caldy's Coffee Highlander Grog Brewing, our decadent maple spiced blend that's won fans nationwide. Loved for how it smells and for how it makes you feel. Each cup brings back the comfort of a classic coffee morning. Cozy, nostalgic, maple spiced coffee. Shop Caldy'sCoffee.com for your bag today. Also available in pods.
If it's Mizzou sports, it's happening here. Now, back to the big show on KTGR.
It's time to go under the bus on the big show.
So after Alex Ovechkin made history with his 900th career NHL goal, no other NHL player has had 900 before. Jordan Pennington picked up the puck and stuck it in his pants. And,
as one does.
Right. And was probably hoping that no one would notice. But the story afterward was that Pennington had every intention of giving Alex Ovechkin the puck back. Thoughts? BS or no BS?
Oh, you're questioning whether Bennington was telling the truth.
Right.
With that comment. I think it goes beyond that, though. Bennington's just a weirdo. And, like,
it's true.
To be an NHL goalie, you have to be. I say that as a term of endearment. But, like, I don't think I see how it looks on the surface. Is like, oh, it's a valuable thing. He thought he could kind of sneak off with it. I think in Jordan Bennington's mind, he just kind of did a thing to see if he could, like, just to see what would happen. Like, it didn't really occur. The consequences of the action, he's like, I don't know, let's just see what happens. Like, it'd be funny. He obviously knew the significance of the goal. I think he just kind of thought this is going to be the next thing that I do tonight. And then later someone's going to ask me about it and I'll answer the question. But, like, that's just his world, man. I'll say this. It comes off a lot better for Jordan Bennington to kind of have fun with that if the Blues aren't in a total tailspin healthy scratching Jordan Kyrou tonight. Like,
jeez.
It doesn't play as well because of the context of the team, but that's just Jordan Bennington. Like, none of this surprised me. I don't think he was earnestly trying to see if he could steal the puck, but he was, like, casually trying to see, are people going to notice if I take this puck? Like, I don't know. It's just that's just the goalie.
Well,
man.
but then the linesman comes over and is talking to him. And I don't think we ever saw how long that conversation was. We obviously don't know what was said, but it looked like Bennington was maybe trying to play like, what puck? This one in the back of my pants here? Oh, this one.
I'm telling you, he probably had that planned for as long as he knew that it could be a possibility. That he was going to have some fun with it. And, like, you might say, well, I don't know, is he being serious? Is he joking? I don't know. This is just the way he is. And so none of it surprised me. I'm glad it happened because it's a funny storyline. Like I said, the context of the team is not great, though, now with the way things are going.
And, I mean, he got pulled in the game because he was giving up too many goals.
Yeah,
right?
That happens. That happens regardless of who starts. The other guy ends up playing anyway for the Blues lately. That's just been the way it's gone.
It's been tough, for sure.
Under the bus.
Also, under the bus to, Mac Rhodes. Mac Rhodes is now the CFP chair this year. He's been on the college football playoff committee, I think, for a few years now. He's the chair this year. And so he's the guy that they throw in front of the camera after every ranking, and he explains the rankings. Well, he tried to joke about one particular ranking, and I don't think it came off as well as it was maybe hoped for on his end. Asked about BYU and Texas Tech, who are right next to each other. I believe 7 and 8 is what it is in the rankings. And obviously they're playing each other this weekend and game days there. And he said, like, yeah, I figured we'd help out ESPN's rankings by putting them right next to each other with game day in town. So you're welcome. Like, buddy.
Oh no.
That is not a thing to joke about for a man in your position, Mac.
Hey, he wanted to get it out there because he knew people were going to say it anyway. So
man,
he's like, he's toying with people now with a comment like that.
Boy, oh boy. Yeah, that's
under the bus.
Something that Mizzou fans will look at and be like, oh, he's back on my TV? Oh, come on, man.
It's time for the sweetest thing in sports on The Big Show.
I think Mizzou's going to pull out some stops when they take on Texas A&M on Saturday. One of them is bring Henry Josie back in the house. He knows a thing or two about making big plays against Texas A&M. He is your big Mo drummer on Saturday. Henry Josie, of course, of the famed 57-yard touchdown to beat Texas A&M to send Mizzou to their first ever SEC championship game. One then Brenden and I remember very fondly. And he'll be back in the building for Mizzou's game this weekend against Texas A&M.
Yeah, I can still, if I close my eyes, kind of feel just how numb the whole world went as Henry Josie was rumbling toward the goal line, and you realize what that meant. So I couldn't think of a better person to bring back for this one and try to fire everybody up. That's going to be awesome.
That'll be something. So we'll see what other stops Mizzou pulls out to do whatever they can to beat the Aggies on Saturday. Call or text us at 573-875-KTGR here on The Big Show if you want to join us here. All right, we will have mid-season grades for the Chiefs as they are 9 games into the season. So they're at the halfway point. Bye week came at basically as halfway as you can make it nowadays in the NFL. So we'll give out our midseason grades for their 5-4 record and play, fade, eliminate. Brenden will try to help you out with your fantasy football squads that, again, are just limping towards the finish. We're halfway through the season on that, and it feels like it's been forever because there have been so many injuries and things like that. So we'll try to help you out with who to start and who to sit and who to – maybe you should just take them off your team. Who knows? We'll get to that at 5:25 here on The Big Show, KTGR, and on the free KTGR app.
The holidays are here, full of joy, family, friends, and yes, a little hustle and bustle. That's why you need Aleve. Between cooking, shopping, and all those extra errands, aches and pains can sneak in. Aleve is here to help with long-lasting body pain relief. Don't let body pain slow you down. With up to 12 hours of body pain relief per dose, you can keep up with the season's magic and all that awaits. Pick up Aleve and get back to what really matters, making memories. Use as directed.
Did you hear? Allstate car insurance now costs even less. So when you bundle with home, you can save even more. Check Allstate first to bundle and save with a new lower auto rate. You're in good hands with Allstate. Not available in every state. Only applicable for new auto insurance business. Rates will vary by several factors, including how you purchase the policy. Potential savings may vary. Allstate North American Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Winter workouts are fun. Sure, if you love fighting frostbite just to fight for a spot on the elliptical. This winter, skip the cold and the crowd and win $500 towards an at-home gym with Play It Again Sports. Just stop in all this week, scan the QR code at the register, and you're entered. But hurry, the contest ends Sunday. Win $500 in fitness equipment and enjoy a warmer workout this winter. Play It Again Sports in Columbia. Think of them first so you don't finish last. Play It Again Sports, ColumbiaMo.com.
From Branson Landing to the Capitol Dome, Union Station to the Tigers' home. Big old service is Missouri's best. Our trusted team outpaces the best.
Get our Healthy Car Special for only $39.95 from your Missouri-owned and operated Big O.
Show me safe coverage wherever you go. We've got you covered at Big O.
KTGR AM Columbia, KTGR FM Fulton Columbia, K286CL Columbia, Mid-Missouri's total sports station. KTGR
Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Former NBA player and assistant coach Damon Jones pleaded not guilty to charges he profited from rigged poker games and provided private information about NBA injuries to sports bettors. The charges stem from last month's federal takedown of sprawling gambling operations. LeBron James a step closer to his season debut. James out with sciatica, cleared for full contact basketball activities. Considering how well Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves have been playing, LeBron's role will likely be very different when he returns for the Lakers, says ESPN NBA analyst Kendrick Perkins.
LeBron James could impact the game in so many areas. Do I think he needs to be the primary ball handler? Absolutely not. But we could see LeBron James at the forward position, being the screener, being the roller, right? And being a guy that could play off the ball or spot up three-point shooter.
James could return around the middle of this month. The NHL's greatest rivalry of this generation resumes tonight when Alex Ovechkin and the Capitals visit Sidney Crosby and the Penguins, 7:30 Eastern, ESPN+. Wisconsin football coach Luke Fickell will return to the Badgers in 2026.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. We make the claims process easy so you can get back on the road in no time. It's why over 43 million drivers trust Progressive. See for yourself at progressive.com.
From Faro,
15 to the 10, to the house.
Bush,
Back to the wall, and it's got her.
and Arrowhead,
Touchdown, Kansas City.
to your speakers.
This is the big show, baby.
Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is The Big Show with Andy and Brenden on KTGR.
Well, a 5-4 start to the season for the Kansas City Chiefs is probably not what many of us expected. So how will it bleed into our midseason grades as we go over those for the Chiefs during their bye week? Nice timing for that, but we'll talk about that coming up here in just a few minutes. And at 5:25, it's another fantasy football weekend on tap, so we will play Fade Eliminate our way into giving you some hopefully sound fantasy football advice that can help you get a win for your fantasy teams this weekend. Call or text us with your questions for fantasy football or whatever else is going on, your Chiefs grades too, 573-875-KTGR to call or text. But first, it's 5 o'clock.
It's time for the top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
So how will Mizzou's offense look against Texas A&M on Saturday? True freshman Matt Zowers making his first college start. How much will they let him just air it out and try to stretch the defense, which can be his strength, I'm sure, if he continues to develop the way that he's expected to as a quarterback. We'll see how they use tight ends in this game. Brett Norfleet questionable on the latest SEC availability reports, so something to watch for the remainder of this week. But it's got to run through Ahmad Hardy. That has to be your foundation. Establish that. Then you can open up a few more of those shock plays that could potentially allow you to pull off an upset here. It's going to have to start with the run game for Mizzou. They take on A&M 2:30 on Saturday.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
Having a hard time coming up with a midseason grade for the Chiefs, honestly. 5-4, you could have expected maybe a few struggles early on because you still don't have Rashee Rice. But all in all, you're a lot healthier than maybe you were at this point last season, and you were winning a whole lot of games. And so I think we should probably dock the Chiefs for having a 5-4 record at this point and not picking up some games that maybe they should have picked up early on in the season. We'll have our grades coming up in a few minutes.
Number 3.
Mizzou women's basketball in action tonight. 6:15 coverage begins on KTGR as they visit Tulane. First true road game for Mizzou women's hoops on the season. Big one for Mizzou volleyball tonight. They close out the regular season schedule hosting number 2 Kentucky as the Tigers look for a signature win there. 6 o'clock first serve over at the Hearn Center for that one.
Number 4.
Oh, shanked it.
Man, another lopsided loss for the Blues. They've lost now 8 of their last 9, I believe, as they fell to the Washington Capitals. Of course, it was a big night for them. Alex Ovechkin scoring his 900th career goal. Jordan Bennington tried to slip the puck away from everybody's sight, and then eventually they figured out he had it and he had to give it back. But also very interesting, they're playing tonight at home, and no Jordan Kyrou apparently going to be a healthy scratch the way it seems heading into this game. For a star player like that is absolutely not a good sign.
Number 5.
What is the 5 fingers? Say to the face. Slap.
I didn't have too many problems with the first college football playoff rankings, but the way they did Texas, Oklahoma is my greatest fear realized.
That's the Big Show's top 5 at 5 on KTGR.
573-875-KTGR here on the Big Show.
Explain that.
This is the worst thing the committee does. The absolute worst thing. First of all, I wasn't on yesterday. I think Mizzou's ranking is it's lower than I would have put them, but there's not too many teams above them that I would rank lower, except for maybe Iowa.
That was a dumb one.
Iowa
that was
doesn't
the
need
one
to be
definitive for me. And then the other Big Ten, I said, look, they're going to put these Big Ten teams above Mizzou to play catch up a little bit because of how many SEC teams were in the top 12. Vandy was the 7th SEC team, and they're number 16. Like, I wasn't surprised after I saw it laid out, like, oh, Big Ten, ACC. Like, Mizzou fell on the wrong side of the ledger when it just came to, like, okay, to kind of quiet people about the SEC bias, we've got to start somewhere. And they
you're parsing
Columbia,
straw.
Missouri.
Well, but it was easy to pick them because, again, who have they beaten? So, like, there
Which,
is still that
as long as
aspect.
that's not the argument after we beat A&M, it doesn't matter.
Right, you'll jump up if you make that. Yeah.
The problem is if they kind of just in their heads go, all right, they got a great win. Whoever's playing got a great win, but you can't jump too many spots in 1 week. Like, now we're suddenly anchored to something that can be difficult to overcome. Right. But I'm not going to react to it until we beat A&M and then they do screw us. At that point, I'll rage, because if you don't jump to 16 or 15, like, significant jump for a win like this, that was your chance to get one. So I'm not going to get mad about a hypothetical yet, but if that should come to pass, I will come unhinged.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. But I didn't have much problem with the ranking otherwise, other than, look, aside from the head-to-head, there is no conceivable reason that Oklahoma should be lower than Texas. None. You cannot convince me. Like, it's just, it does not exist. Oklahoma has played tougher teams. They have beaten tougher teams. They've controlled those games in a much better fashion than Texas has. This is not that. I'm seeing this play out once again. The committee has done this before. They've created a glass ceiling over the head of a team that lost head-to-head to another team. It's kind of close in those rankings, and like, oh, we can't put them because they beat that team. This is exactly why Florida State got left out 2 years ago. Because when Alabama beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, the committee was like, well, shoot, we can't leave Alabama out now. They just beat Georgia. They're SEC champions. How can we leave them out? Oh, but we also can't put them ahead of Texas because Texas beat them. Well, let's just put them ahead of Florida State. And then we got what we got. Like, this is stupid. Head-to-head is being weighed far too heavily by this committee, and it has not changed. This is going to play out again. So if Texas and Oklahoma both win out, I guarantee you that the committee will just keep Oklahoma behind Texas for no reason whatsoever because, well, Texas beat them. But Oklahoma will have more quality wins, better game control, a much stronger strength of record than Texas did. But the only reason why they can't hop Texas is because in 1 week they played Texas and they didn't beat them. It's the dumbest thing the committee does.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great. And, I think a lot of what you said is probably got the potential to come true because, both teams still have meaningful games remaining against tough competition. So, like, you're going to split hairs, I think, on saying who's got a tougher remaining schedule, who will be more impressive if they can get through their toughest remaining schedule, that sort of thing. It's I hear you. It's not great. I feel like we're going to probably go through the same thing with Mizzou. Like, if Mizzou beats A&M, I don't see them getting past Vanderbilt because they'll say, that was kind of that head-to-head good line to draw. You know what I mean? Like, whether or not we think the resumes at that point will justify it, and they won't. Mizzou will have a better resume than Vanderbilt if Mizzou gets the win over A&M, a top 5 opponent versus Vanderbilt. They've beaten LSU. I mean, right. And us, I guess. Yeah. But like that, those are not comparable to me. So we'll see this again. This won't be the only example.
Right. That one data point is weighing way too large on the minds of everybody in that room to the point where you're forgetting everything else that the other teams did, and you're not judging everything independently of itself. And also to the fact that, like, look, maybe you just put a team higher 1 week than another team, even if they both win. Like, that's okay. That can happen. That's allowed. I would be fine with that. But the committee just does not ever seem to want to do it. And it's the dumbest thing ever. I hate it. But
I'm not a fan of it. I agree with your take.
But I think we're about to see it again. Nothing's changed. 573-875-KTGR if you want to call or text us here. All right. What's your midseason grade for the Chiefs? Into their bye week. They're one step into the second half of their season now. What's your midseason grade?
It's probably going to start with a C. I don't know if I'm going to put any salt and pepper on it to give it a plus or a minus, but I think it's going to start with a C. I mean, it's just, we knew there'd be challenges associated with not having your full complement of players, and then you do bake in like lost Worthy for a couple weeks, and that happened. But 5-4 is, it's kind of 5-4. It's a C for the standard that you set when you're the Chiefs.
Well, certainly with the quarterback that you have, I mean, I will say they've been here before, but from that point, would you have even graded those seasons as, B's anyway? And I don't think you would have. I mean, those were more inexplicable losses that they had back when they were starting 3-4, and I think they did it multiple times under Andy Reid, but still, of course, won the division, eventually rebounded. But this year, it might be more punitive because you have stronger competition within the AFC West. And that's hard to dock a team for that because, like, in relation to you, like, they're becoming better on their own account, and it's not something that should essentially drag you down because they're better. Like, you should just judge what your team has done. And right now the Chiefs have only played 2 divisional games. So, like, they haven't even had a say in the discussion of who's better, the Chiefs or the Broncos, because they haven't played them yet. So, like, there's still that aspect looming over this. But if you look at what the Chiefs have done so far, one game definitively they should not have lost. That's the Jacksonville game. Like, that was theirs. It was in their hands. And, like, if they're 6-3 instead of 5-4, what would your grade be? That's kind of how I work through this. Like, if they,
but that's not what happened.
No, but like what I'm saying
Grade
is
them for
that
what happened.
No, but I'm working backwards. It's like,
Okay.
look, like, look at what your schedule allowed for as far as the wins that you should have gotten versus the ones that you actually got, and then base your grade off of that.
Okay.
And so,
All right,
like,
so keep going. Work through this with
definitely should have had the Jacksonville game. The next one that they probably should have had was the Eagles game. That's the next one that was, like, on the table, had a chance to come back in that game. At least you were still having to come from behind, but the Chiefs have done that before.
Sure.
The Chargers game, it stings more because it's a divisional loss, but it's one that, look, you had to kind of on the fly decide what you were going to do without Xavier Worthy in that game, and that obviously dragged you down a little bit and dug you a hole that was unable to be dug out from. So that's the one. If I had to rank the games that the losses that sting the most for the Chiefs, I would rank them Jaguars, Eagles, Chargers, Bills. And so if you definitely give them the Jacksonville game, they're 6-3, and I would probably give them closer to a B grade, but because they didn't, I'll probably say C+.
It feels not really that punitive. I mean, like some of these games where you mentioned, like Eagles game, Chargers game, whether they should or shouldn't have, like, there's still football games that are coin flips. Like, there weren't any they were supposed to lose. I don't think you would admit that there were some that they were supposed to not win.
I think they were underdogs against the Eagles. I would have to check, but
that'd be the one that I would totally. But that you put that second on your list in terms of ones that they should have.
Well, just the way that it played out. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
I won't dock them for the Eagles game because I said all week that's going to be a problem, and it was. And relative to my own expectations, that played out just about as I figured it would. Chargers was disappointing because they were supposed to win against the Chargers. I don't remember what the point spread was, but, like, I know we sat here.
I think it was like 3.5, maybe neutral site.
Win,
like
dropped
that.
it.
Yeah,
and their standard isn't to be 5-4. I think their standard after 9 games should be to be between 6-3 or 7-2 most years, and, like, that wouldn't even necessarily constitute an A+ or anything like that. That's just like what you're supposed to be. Like, yeah, I'm going to hold them to a higher standard. I'm also going to look at it and say, coming off the Super Bowl loss, there's a lot of talk all off season about how, how this was going to be the kick in the pants. And like that, we haven't seen that collectively through 9 games. We have definitively not seen that come to fruition. That like the Chiefs, here are the Chiefs in 2025 responding to what happened in February. No, that hasn't happened yet. Like they're playing their season out, but like that was a narrative that I thought we could get something out of from them. And we didn't see it, and they didn't start the season that way either. Sloppiness, a lot of sloppiness that cost them games in Jacksonville and in the Chargers game as well.
Yeah.
So, that's where I think they should be about 7-2 right now for me to say, like, yes, things are progressing as they should. You mentioned that they haven't had the chance to weigh in against the Broncos yet, but also, like, it is a factor that the rest of your division is deciding to participate again. When it seems like in some years that just hasn't been the case. Now, some of it has just been the Chiefs dominating those teams and kind of pushing them down a peg. But I think that the awareness of the fact that you're in third place in your division right now also bakes in. I think I'm going C-. I said I'm going to start it with a C. I didn't know which direction. I feel pretty good about C-. Anything below that would feel probably more punitive to know that, like, Rashee Rice is one of their best players. They didn't have him for 6 games. They've had some injuries. They've had some weird things they've had to deal with. Didn't expect that Josh Simmons would be gone for a month with a family issue. Like, things happen. But I think C- is like the way that I indicate this ain't where it needs to be. Because, like, making the playoffs is the absolute bare minimum to avoid an F. You miss the playoffs, it's an F if you're the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. I don't think that's crazy. Barring him getting hurt, that's a failure. And they're on pace to win 9.5 games right now, which puts you on the bubble. So, like, it's only a C- because it ain't over. But if they go 9-8, which is about the pace they're on, and miss the playoffs, that's a failure, in my opinion. So, like, it's plenty early, and we have the reasons that we think it's going to get better record-wise. But I think somebody should call attention to the fact that, like, where they are right now, there is that risk, if you just plot out the rest of the season, of you kind of falling short of a goal that's not even the goal. We talk about the AFC championships as the Arrowhead Invitational or whatever.
Sure.
5-4, I'm not putting a plus next to 5-4.
So here's where I'll push back on your on pace statements. How many games right now left out of their 8 do you think the Chiefs are favored in? I think that's what they should be on pace for, technically. And I would say that it is a majority of the games. So
yeah,
it's at least
they've probably been
5
favored
of
in
them.
8 of the 9 or 7 of the 9 this year. You're in favor of the Bills.
But
They're
again, like,
favored in 8 games.
but that's not going to correct. Vegas has not made that correction still. Vegas still sees this team as very strong, and offensively, they have definitely been better.
Yeah.
And so, like,
but relative to that, like, if that's your standard that you're going to use on games moving forward, they lost 3 games that they were underdogs in to get to 5-4. But I don't square that circle with a C+. If that's the measure of, like, looking forward, we can expect them to win these games because they're favored. I want to look back and say they should have won at least 1 more, maybe 2 more of the games.
Well, yeah,
because they were favored.
But if they had won 1 more game, would your grade still have a C next to it, or would it be a B?
I think it would be if you flip that Jacksonville game or the Charger game, I think I would be like a B-. I don't know. I'll try to be honest and say I don't know for sure. I'd have to live in that alternate universe to know how I would feel. But yeah, I would, because then you'd be 6-3. I feel way better about you being able to slip up at another point down the road and it not cost you the playoffs. But we did the whole wild card standings thing on Monday, where it's like, if you look at it, they're not in a spot right now. And so they do have to physically be the team to get themselves there. It's not going to just be handed to them. And we're very used to them waltzing into the playoffs, even when they're kind of screwing around in the regular season. Even in those years, never did we feel like they were going to miss the playoffs, really. So that's why I'm like, yeah, I get it. They'll be favored in the majority of these games. Are there any that I can guarantee you they're going to win? Pretty much just the Raiders and the Titans. And that's largely it.
I can guarantee
think
the
they'll
Texans
lose to the
won.
Cowboys.
They won't lose to the Cowboys or the Texans.
What
so
I'll
that's
say about
4.
the Texans is, though, their defense has games where they just absolutely come up with an unbelievable plan and they win 13-9. Like, that could happen here. But no, I wouldn't project them to lose.
So I mean that's kind of the main reason why I put them in the C category. Like, it's not where they should be. Like, they should be higher than that. Yes, we need to hold them to a high standard, but I still see them having the opportunity to get higher than that based on what they can do with their schedule. Because again, if you beat the Broncos twice, things look wildly different. And again, you have still some manageable spots on here. Again, with most likely everybody healthy, like Josh Simmons most likely comes back. You get a little bit healthier for Trey Smith, presumably, maybe even Jawan Taylor, wide receivers, all at your full arsenal. Maybe Pacheco comes back. I don't know. But like there is still more opportunity for this team to go on a run late, I think, if they get past that first hurdle of at Denver, hosting the Colts. And then if they lose, certainly both of them, then you're hitting the panic button and you're like, okay, let's go to D territory. And then, yeah, if you're missing the playoffs, it is an F. But here's what I'll say about this. And I'm stealing this from a different show on 96.5 The Fan, because they were talking about it today. What's more likely? Chiefs missing the playoffs or Chiefs making the Super Bowl? Right now, what's more likely?
You say making the Super Bowl or winning it?
Make the Super Bowl.
I think it's more I think it's more likely that they make the Super Bowl because there's not going to be a game or a team other than the Bills, and even though we always know history reverses when they play in the playoffs, I'll still look at the Bills and say they could beat the Chiefs in January because I saw their game plan in November and I think they could do it again. Probably won't predict it, but it could happen. Other than the Bills, I don't know if there's an AFC team that I think that about when you get Patrick Mahomes playoff mode, Andy Reid playoff mode. Yeah. Like not the Colts. The Ravens aren't going to be there more likely than not. And even if they were, I'm not that worried about them. Who's that team? Anybody in the division? Not really. So no. I think to your point, they'll be favored in enough games to get in with 10, 11 wins. And once that happens, I would consider that they're more likely to beat a couple of these teams in the playoffs that I've seen them beat over and over than they would be to lose too many of the Texans, Colts, Raiders games the rest of this regular season, which would be what would have to happen, I think, for them to miss the playoffs. Like, I guess they could lose to the Broncos twice, and then we're talking about you got to win every other game to win 11.
Right.
But I think they'll split with the Broncos probably, and, they'll lose one other one. I would still probably say between 10-7 and 11-6, and I think 10-7 will end up being enough. But that's not a guarantee either. So I'm not super confident in my answer, but I'll say they're more likely to make the Super Bowl. I know that's the right answer in your opinion.
So, well, see, I kind of go back and forth. I think those two numbers right now would be very close. I'm sure there are numbers on it somewhere. I just didn't look and see. But I would guess that they are very similar numbers. You can just look at the odds, I guess, for Chiefs to make the Super Bowl or Chiefs to miss the playoffs. They're out there. But like I would say that because I believe those two percentages have almost a negligible difference, I tried to base my letter grade off of like, okay, what's the middle of A and F? And I came to C+ as like the closest thing to it.
I think C is the middle of A and F, but that's
okay. But it might be. Sure, or the middle of
you
A
put the plus on
versus,
there because you like the Chiefs. I get it.
Or all that. No, I understand.
You put the plus on there because you're a happy guy and you think it's all going to work out, which it might. But
it has before. I mean,
isn't this like
has time and time again? But
isn't this just the epitome of the Big Show? We're like, okay, let's look at the Chiefs. It's like a Rorschach test, and we're like, yeah, they're both a C. You're like, no, but they're a C+. I'm like, no, they're a C-. It's just our personalities playing out.
Both gotta have a C. Yeah, that's true. It's very good.
It's funny though that the odds are really close. I found it from one sports book. They are plus 330 to win the conference, to win the AFC. Okay. They're plus 360 to miss the playoffs. So like they are slightly more likely to win the conference than they are to miss the playoffs, at least according to betting odds from one sports book. It's crazy how close those numbers are, but it feels right as well.
Right.
Which is why we're kind of just in the middle about how we feel about them right now.
Because again, to your point, all they need to do is get in, and any matchup that,
once you get in,
that comes their way.
I'm not taking anybody else once they get in. Right. In a like, you give me odds on it, sure, then we'll talk about what's a good value. But if it's just a conversation of, hey, the AFC playoffs are starting, who you got? The Chiefs will generally be my answer. That's what I expect it to be when we get to there in January. But I'll tell you what, man, I could change that answer as soon as like 10 days from now. Because whenever that Broncos game happens, if it goes the other way, you can start to shrink the margin for error even smaller to go, wow, this is getting real. And then every game is going to feel like, oh, can't lose this one. That Broncos game is going to be massive. But Andy Reid off a bye. We know what's coming.
Oh, no doubt. Brenden saying they are the Super Bowl betting favorite today, which
I didn't look at that, but I guess I'll check it out. That's not true on the sports book I'm looking at. It's the Bills, but the Chiefs are number 2.
Right.
So
yeah,
and it was the same way for
AFC.
AFC.
Patrick Mahomes played his worst game of the season. The offensive line played their worst game of the season in Buffalo, and they lost by 7.
By the way, if you're convinced as I am that they will beat the Broncos, this bye week is a great opportunity to, before Sunday's games begin and the odds change, Super Bowl. I mean, you would go find your jurisdiction of legality now, because whenever else are you getting the Chiefs at plus 650 to win the Super Bowl in this recent run? You know what I mean?
You will not get it any better than that.
And if largely we don't think anything's really changed, we don't think they've lost their edge. We just look at the way that they've played this season, and I'm docking them on the grade. Do I think they're a fundamentally different team than they were if they had a 7-2 record? Like, they'd be the same team. And so if all this holds true, just get in and they're still going to be the pick. Now would be about as good of a time during this entire Mahomes era to bet the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. If you believe those things to be true, included that they're going to win off the bye. Because if you think they're going to lose to Denver, well, wait another week, because then it's going to get really juicy as they have to start to bake in, are the Chiefs even going to make the playoffs? But I think now's probably going to be the time, because if they beat Denver, suddenly we're not even worried about them missing the playoffs, and you're starting to think back into like, hey, how many times can they have home field throughout the playoffs? Like, that becomes all possible again, because other teams have losses as well, and they'll continue to take more.
Call or text us at 573-875-KTGR. You're on the Big Show. Your midseason grades for the Chiefs as they've hit the bye and are 5-4, trying to climb back into the postseason picture. All right, up next, Brenden will help you out with the teams not named the Chiefs that will be playing this weekend, and particularly the players that you have on your fantasy team. We'll do Play, Fade, Eliminate. Get your questions in for Brenden on our texter, 875-KTGR. Next, you're on the Big Show.
Follow the Big Show on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And keep it here on your total sports station, KTGR.
Hey, it's Andy and Brenden here with Underdog Fantasy. We've got more football again tonight, and it's kickstarting the big football weekend, both for the NFL and for college. All kinds of sports that you can choose from on Underdog. You can pick whether your favorite players are going to go higher or lower on their stats and potentially win some money. Brenden, what's your favorite pick right now?
Well, it could be a bit of a gnarly game on Thursday night, Andy. We get those every once in a while. Raiders, Broncos. I've got a couple of picks, though, that I do like for this game. I'm going higher than 4.5 receptions for Broncos receiver Troy Franklin, because the Raiders really do give it up to the wide receiver position, but the Broncos do pretty good against tight ends, so I'm going to go lower than 6.5 receptions for Brock Bowers in spite of that Jacoby Myers trade. I think it's just a regular good game for Bowers tonight rather than an absolute explosion.
Hey, so that's Brendan's Underdog entry, and it can be yours too if you download the Underdog app and you play along, and you could win up to 5,000 times your money if you get all of your picks in your entry right. So download the Underdog app today and use our promo code KTGR to score $100 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code KTGR. Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my two sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-568-3344. 800-568-3344. 800-568-3344.
1851 Underground in Fulton is a unique spot with delicious menu items like the prime rib sandwich, sliced and stacked with pepper jack cheese, caramelized onion, creamy horseradish, and crispy onion straws, all on ciabatta bread. Grab some friends and check out the daily happy hour from 3 to 5, weekends included. Enjoy a craft beer or a cocktail. It's no secret, but it is underground. 1851 Underground Tap and Grill in the historic Brick District, downtown Fulton.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code HEAT to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code HEAT for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code HEAT for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Your daily fix of local sports lives here. This is The Big Show on KTGR.
I love Jason's optimism on our texter, 875-KTGR. Tonight, go Raiders. Which, you're right.
I see what you're doing there.
Yeah. If the Raiders can hang one of those losses to the Broncos, that would be helpful.
That'd be swell.
Be very nice.
Do you think they can?
They can. I don't know if
Do you think they will?
No. I mean, if the only thing I need to say that they can is that they have like a 10% chance of winning this game, then yeah, they can. But
Got you on a technicality, huh?
right. It's not something that I can predict as
Thursday
anything
night,
close to
though,
likely. Thursday night has been weird though, right?
It just can get weird. Remember we thought the Bengals had no chance that one time they won.
Yep.
This is in Denver.
I mean,
know.
Dolphins went to that wasn't in Buffalo, was it? That was week 3, I believe, and like
the Dolphins ended up getting popped in that game, didn't they?
No, that was a close one. They didn't win the game, obviously.
They covered.
But
Dolphins covered.
It was closer than most people expected. Now that we're not going for close here, we want the Raiders to try and
need the win,
get that dub.
It was a 10-point loss for the Dolphins, so I guess either way,
kind of.
This spread is below 10. I think it's actually even come down a little bit. It was like 9.5. Now it's like maybe 7.5.
Interesting. Well, I mean, look, you can root hard for it if you're the Chiefs, obviously, but I don't know. It might be one of those games that just is over by at least the third quarter, but we'll see what happens with it. But in the meantime, give us your midseason grades for the Chiefs, 573-875-KTGR. Also, give us your fantasy football questions because
it's time to play Fade or Eliminate.
You might have players tonight. Maybe that's what you're paying more attention to, aside from the Chiefs being helped out with the AFC West race. Play, Fade, Eliminate. Call or text us with your questions about your fantasy football lineups. Who should you play? Who should you fade? And who should you eliminate? Both tonight and for this weekend in your fantasy football leagues. David texting in for his PPR flex. He wants you to pick 2, Brenden. Kyle,
2?
Yeah, 2 of them. He's got 4 names listed even.
Okay.
All right. Kyle Monangai, Alvin Kamara, Quentin Johnston, Christian Watson.
Okay, so the first thing I did was look for a DeAndre Swift injury update. I'm seeing a headline that he vows to play against the Giants. I don't know why he needs to vow it.
Did he say that he is vowing to play, or is that the editorial choice of Verb?
I think the editorial choice was his vow. I doubt that he said I will stand here today before.
I will, in fact, suit up. I do.
The joke about Val made me forget half the names. You said Monongai, Quentin Johnston.
Yeah, Christian Watson and Alvin Kamara.
So I think Kamara when we're in the category of names that we're in, Kamara is just a name that I think you just have to continue to play. I know that he's with a bad Saints offense, but like Christian Watson could goose you at any given time. Monongai is going to probably be a backup to DeAndre Swift again. If Swift is out, Monongai is instantly to number 1 on this list. If Swift plays, I would probably have Kamara ranked higher. Quentin Johnston, man, is the same player as Christian Watson. So honestly, it comes down to you deciding what do I need this week? Am I projected on my fantasy app to win this matchup or lose this matchup? Because those guys' projections are all fairly similar, if I had to guess. But if you're projected as a big underdog, well, you might need a Christian Watson and or a Quentin Johnston to get you the potential access to 20 fantasy points. Because I don't think Alvin Kamara is doing that. If you need big, Kamara is probably the one you eliminate from consideration. Monongai, even as a backup, I think could do it, but he's more of a fade. The plays in that instance would be, going for your wide receivers that could score you long touchdowns, or they could goose you in Watson and Quentin Johnston. So it's difficult that I don't have an actual play fade eliminate for this. It's dependent upon what you need, because I think if you want to play it more on the safe side, Kamara, and I think I do kind of like Christian Watson's involvement, and so I might have those be the plays with Monongai as the fade and the eliminate being Quentin Johnston. But Johnston could easily be the one that gets more of the touchdown love from Justin Herbert this week. So I like how I kind of copped out of this answer, but it really is more dependent on what you need in that situation.
No, that makes sense. Go big or go home with one of those big-time wide receivers.
Yeah, if it says, if I'm on Sleeper and it says 130 to 110 is what and I'm going to lose, I'm like, well, screw it. Let's throw in Watson and Quentin Johnston, because that's my best path to getting an outlier outcome in my favor, because Kamara is going to get you 10.1 almost no matter what, 8.6, which doesn't kill you, but doesn't really help you change the projection. Monongai, pay attention to what Bears coaches might be saying if they give a little morsel, or if, Shefty says, hey, Monongai's the starter now. That would be notable because he played really well. But if Swift is there, I just think he's going to get cannibalized a little bit.
Okay, let's go to running backs here. Play fade eliminate. Text in your fantasy football questions to us, 573-875-KTGR, or you can comment on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@KTGR Sports, or on Facebook, facebook.com/KTGR Big Show. Running backs, play fade eliminate. Trevion Henderson, Aaron Jones, Rachaad White.
I was surprised at how much Aaron Jones was getting the workload over Jordan Mason in the Vikings last game. He did leave with an injury from that game, but he returned to practice Thursday, so I'm going to expect him to be active. Obviously, anybody that I say to play and he doesn't play, don't play him. Rachaad White, I don't think Bucky Irving's coming back anytime soon, so he should be pretty well locked and loaded to continue taking on the workload in that backfield. They play the Bills. Bit of a tough matchup.
Who, the Bucks do?
Buccaneers do.
I've got them against New England. Why do I have them against New England?
Let me scroll. I was too deep in my – thank you. I was too deep in my my schedule that I was looking at. So
still
they
a
play
tough
New
defense,
England.
though. It's still not a great matchup.
Yeah, in that same game, you're asking about Trevion Henderson.
Yeah,
dude, good luck to you if you got Trevion Henderson on a team, because I have him. I've been benching him every week just because I don't want anything to do with it. Vrabel just doesn't seem to like him. I don't know. He let Terrell Jennings have carries last week, even when Ramondre Stevenson was out. So
gosh, he must not be that great of a coach.
Yeah, well, they're winning a lot of games.
It's the conundrum, right?
I know.
Oh, man. Come on.
That is actually the best case study in Brendan Schaefer's fantasy brain versus football brain, because I know that Mike Vrabel is a good NFL coach. I hate him when I have Trevion Henderson that I need to get the football and he doesn't put him on the field. No matter how many running backs get hurt, he finds somebody else to give it to. So he's my eliminate no matter what. Until he has a game where he carries for 15 times and looks great, I'm going to assume that he's going to just be benched in the next game for no rhyme or reason. And that's advice I'm following myself. I will not start him if I have an alternative. Rashad White, I think, is going to be very safe because I don't think Bucky Irving's going to be coming back. So tough defense, but one that you can work with. Aaron Jones is who I want to tell you to play. I just think Rashad White has more of an upside. So he's going to be my play. Jones may not get more than Jordan Mason this time. Who knows? So he's the fade. Eliminate Trevion Henderson because it is just too risky. You never know what Vrabel's going to do.
No. All right, play, fade, eliminate. Again, text in your fantasy football questions to us, 573-875-KTGR if you want to weigh in. Wide receivers, play, fade, eliminate. Alec Pierce, Jacoby Myers, and Rashid Shaheed.
You like these guys that are
new
getting traded or benefiting from a trade, huh?
Yeah.
Alec Pierce, I like, actually, for the Colts after the A.D. Mitchell trade to the Jets. That is an overseas game. Where are they playing that game? Is that London again or somewhere else?
I think that's Germany, if I want to.
Berlin game. Yep,
Yeah.
you nailed it.
Okay.
I can't keep it straight with where they play every week. I like Pierce, but I think I like Shaheed maybe a little bit more. I'm combing for that matchup. Hosting the Cardinals. Man, Darnold's looked good. And it's not JSN only that he gets the ball to. I think Shaheed's actually going to fit in really well with that offense. Jacoby Myers, maybe. I don't really know. I feel like that's a mouths to feed situation a little bit. He's traded to the Jaguars. Brian Thomas is always kind of banged up. So if he doesn't play, maybe that's better for Jacoby Myers. But Andy, as much as you talk down on your Texans, the one thing we can say for them, pass defense is pretty good. So
Very good. Yep.
I would say that's Jacoby Myers is a fade for me. Man, he's probably the eliminate.
I think so.
I'd probably rather play Alec Pierce against the Falcons. Like I'm going to play Shaheed as my number one. I'll fade Pierce just because we don't really know. Like he hasn't been traded. He's been on this team. He hasn't been as involved, but has had some splash weeks. And now we're projecting that he'll be getting more opportunity because one of his teammates was traded. But I think Shaheed actually steps into a good spot. I don't know for sure what Jacoby Myers is stepping into. It'll be tempting if Brian Thomas misses, but even if he misses, I think I would rather go Shaheed.
All right, play, fade, eliminate here on the Big Show, KTGR. Let's go to folks who need quarterbacks. Play, fade, eliminate. J.J. McCarthy, Jacoby Brissett, Michael Penix.
Oh, wow. I can't believe I'm saying it, but I think McCarthy is the answer here. Like, he's shown some dynamic ability. He runs a little bit more than I thought he would. He's not afraid to run in for a touchdown, which is always great. Brissett, I think, is going to continue to sustain the receivers in Arizona. That's why they named him the starter. Very funny that they put Kyler on IR after he was, like, almost ready to come back.
Yeah, okay. We need a little more time on that knee. Yeah,
we see
take
right
all the time
through that one.
Go right ahead.
But that's the right decision, and they did the IR thing for PR reasons. But Brissett's been good. I just don't. There's not really rushing upside. He's one of those quarterbacks that I think you do need to throw in the end zone to get your fantasy points from him. And Penix is kind of the same way, but he's also playing in the Germany game, and I just do not know what to expect. Colts generally pretty good defense. We've seen enough bad Penix games for me to go, I actually think McCarthy is the play here. So play him. I'll fade Brissett. I'll eliminate Penix. I just can't trust the Falcons week to week.
All right. If you want to get some questions in for play, fade, eliminate, call or text us, 573-875-KTGR here on The Big Show. We'll keep getting to some of those, some more of your calls and texts as we roll along here on The Big Show, KTGR.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Ben Hermes, and this live local sports center is brought to you by Lee's Tire Company. If it's around in rubber, Lee's sells it. Lee'sTireCompany.com. Well, Missouri football is gearing up to host the third-ranked Texas A&M Aggies this Saturday from Memorial Stadium. Only one Tiger was listed as questionable on the SEC student-athlete availability report, that being tight end Brett Norfleet. Final word about his status won't come until 90 minutes prior to kickoff for Saturday's game, which is set for 2:30 right here on KTGR. Mizzou women's basketball will head on the road for the very first time in this young season as they travel south to take on Tulane. The Tigers are 1-0 on the year as they were able to defeat the University of Central Arkansas 78-71 on Monday night. The Tigers will look to improve to 2-0 on the year. They're set for tip-off for 6:30 right here on KTGR. And it's senior day at the Hearn Center for Mizzou volleyball as they gear up to host second-ranked Kentucky. This will be the sixth-ranked opponent the Tigers will have played this season. So far, the Tigers are 1-4 against those ranked opponents. Their lone victory coming against Tennessee last Friday. Mizzou will look to make it 2-4 this evening with first serve starting at 6 o'clock just here in about 15 minutes. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is brought to you by Steve's Pest Control. The fall invasion is here. Call Steve and the pros at Steve's Pest Control today to help stop the fall pests from invading your home. Call or go online to stevespestcontrol.com.
I'm tracking a mild end to the week with temperatures tonight in the 50s. We could see a few spotty sprinkles in our northern counties overnight, but almost everyone stays dry. Clouds clear out tomorrow, and temperatures could be near 70 with sunshine on Friday. More showers are expected on Saturday, possibly during the Mizzou game, but rain will be very light, and a big cool down is expected for the end of the weekend. I'm meteorologist Nate Splater, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
Chiefs Kingdom lives here.
This is the Chiefs Kingdom.
Touchdown, Kansas City! Tune in every Monday night at 6 for the Chiefs Kingdom Show, hosted by the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holtis. Hear from head coach Andy Reid and your favorite Chiefs players all season long. After every game, enter the doors to the Chiefs Kingdom. Monday nights at 6, powered by Macadoodles, Steve's Pest Control, and your total sports station for all things Chiefs. KTGR.
If you're craving something delicious, find your way to the Pasta Factory, where everything's made from scratch daily. Their fresh sauces, cakes, quiche, dressings, and soups are sure to tantalize your taste buds. And all pasta entrees are cooked, baked, and tossed to order. Don't leave without sampling those homemade desserts, lovingly crafted by Jason and Rob. Good. The Pasta Factory. Visit them at 3103 West Broadway Business Park, right in front of Walmart. Closed Mondays and Tuesdays. The Pasta Factory, where fresh meets flavor.
It's that time of year again. Hit a deer, win a cow with FPP Body Shop. Listen, I'm not saying actively crash your vehicle into a deer, but if you do hit a deer, FPP will ease that stress with a $20 gift card to Fulton Worst House. And you'll be entered in to win the grand prize, a $500 gift card.
Man, I tell you what, winner last year had a cookout with every meat known to man. He all right?
Yeah, Billy. The winner will be popular again this year, too. With FPP, it's easy as 1, 2, 3. Hit a deer, win a cow. FPPBodyShop.com.
Winter's on the way, so now's the time to plan your tree pruning. Here's why. In winter, trees are dormant, which means there's less risk of disease. Plus, without all those leaves, it's way easier to see exactly what needs trimming. The educated, licensed, insured, and experienced Tree Solutions know your trees and your wallet. But spots are filling fast, so schedule your winter pruning today at AdvancedTreeSolutionsLLC.com. Advanced Tree Solutions LLC, your tree's best friend.
Hey, Tiger fans, gear up for game day with Zing Zang. Score big with their Bloody Mary mix, crafted with 7 real vegetable juices and bold seasonings, or enjoy their ready-to-drink Bloody Mary canned cocktail made with premium vodka and 9% ABV. Prefer margaritas? Try their classic or mango margarita canned cocktails with real fruit juices and premium silver tequila. Find them at your local retailer. Zing Zang, taste the legend. And please, Zing Zang responsibly.
Shangri-La is proud to be a part of every black and gold home game this season at the Zimmer Tiger Tailgate. Swing by our tent to play games, win prizes, and hang out with Missouri's top team of cannabis aficionados. Want to join the fun? Pick up your free Tiger Tailgate tickets at any Shangri-La location. Then come find us on game day. We'll be bringing the energy, the prizes, and the community spirit that makes Tiger football unforgettable. Shangri-La Dispensaries is paradise found. ShangriLaDispensaries.com.
The best local sports talk around on your ride home. You've got The Big Show on KTGR.
Keep texting us with some fantasy football questions. Got a few to get to here on The Big Show, KTGR, and the KTGR app. 573-875-KTGR is how you reach us. Let's get to this question from Evan in Boonville. We talked about Kyle Monangai. Would you play him over DJ Moore in a flex this weekend, Brenden?
Again, it comes down to the DeAndre Swift of it all, but DJ Moore is in an interesting spot. Andy, I thought coming into the year we would see like the decline of DJ Moore. I attributed it, though, to like, okay, it would be the rise of Luther Burden. We haven't really seen the rise of Luther Burden. Now, he was out last week with a concussion, and so maybe that is still yet to come. But like DJ Moore has just kind of been usurped in the pecking order a little bit and hasn't been extremely productive. He's had very consistent games, but that's 6 in a row where he's caught either 3 or 4 passes. They do give him the ball a couple times a game in the rushing game as sort of like an end around type of vibe, but he's been relatively capped in terms of his value. Only 1 touchdown through the air this season. So like the value seems to be capped. Monangai has, I think, a ceiling that you could just absolutely shatter if they decide he's just better than DeAndre Swift. I would say the high risk, high reward option is Monangai if Swift plays. If Swift is out, it's Monangai over DJ Moore 100%. But if Swift is in and you're deciding between the two, I would say risk reward option is Monangai. Safe 11 PPR points is DJ Moore.
Interesting. Yeah. I feel like if Luther Burden gets a chance second half of the season, that it's gonna happen for him. But
I think that's true.
It might require the Bears being out of reach for a playoff spot virtually or mathematically for that to happen, but I could see it.
I think the injury hurts, and it hurt him. I think an injury from the very beginning of the season hurt because he was dealing with a hamstring before camp that kind of maybe limited what he would be able to do. Colston Loveland, though, during the game Luther was out, had that monster game, and it's like, okay, is he just going to be that dude moving forward? I just regret that Luther might have missed his window to take advantage of, when there was an opportunity like that Bengals game. Like, you don't think Luther Burden would have had a huge night on maybe 3 touches in that Bengals game just because of the nature of that defense? So that was the unfortunate thing.
Got a text in from Billy in Russellville. Quarterback 1, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Caleb Williams.
Baker, Darnold, Caleb. Baker's not had as many really good fantasy performances this season as I would have thought. Kind of looked at his numbers recently and was like, he's been okay. But he's just had a rotating cast and crew to deal with, and I think that has sort of eventually bogged him down a little bit. Darnold, man, as long as they don't run into touchdowns, Darnold is really, really looking good. I think Baker's like the eliminate for me in this one, actually, because I think Caleb Williams is a decent matchup against the Giants at home. Darnold's at home against the Cardinals, and Baker faces New England, and can be a tough defense. That could go the other way, though. Like if Drake May is pushing the ball down the field and then it becomes a trade and touchdowns game, none of these are bad options. But if I were sitting there with this decision, I would probably start Caleb Williams this week, hoping that him and Jackson Dart have the back and forth game. I can't sit a guy off of a 40-something performance like Caleb Williams just had.
Yeah, man.
Except for actually I can. I have a league where those are my 2 quarterbacks, Dart
Jackson
and Williams.
Dart and Caleb Williams.
Last week I started Dart. He got me 31 in my format with 6-point passing TDs, and Caleb was in the 40s. I think I'm going right back to it because I think Dart against the Bears is more attractive than Caleb against the Giants. But that I'm rooting for the over in that game because I would love to see both those quarterbacks have good days.
It is fascinating how quickly Jackson Dart has shot up those particular rankings. Just
he's
fantasy
a gold
rankings,
mine. He is matchup proof. I waited too long to start using him. In fact, this past week was the first week that I did in this league where I have them both, and it was the first week that it would have been wrong because Caleb outperformed him. But I have a dynasty league where I traded. I don't even remember. I think I gave up Jalen Hurts for Dart, but I got like an extra draft pick in the deal. But I was just like, I want Jackson Dart. I think Jackson Dart right now might be a better fantasy quarterback than Jalen Hurts because like Hurts
they're 3 and 4 this week on ESPN's rankings, which is a collection of a bunch of different people. Hurts is 3, Dart is 4. So
I think if it's a dynasty league, I would rather have Dart than Hurts. And because Hurts was a bigger name, I got a future first round pick in the trade. It was the quarterback swap with me getting an extra draft pick, and the team that I'm helping to take over is a dud. So we're rebuilding right now. I actually traded Hurts and Mahomes in this league because I'm like, all right, we're breaking this thing down to the studs.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I love Jackson Dart. I think the league will try to figure him out, obviously, as time goes. But for right now, it's tantalizing. The upside throwing the football and running it. And he's doing all this without Malik Neighbors. Like when he got into the role was right around the same time that Neighbors got hurt. And so we haven't even seen what that could look like. The Giants could be very fun next year. Get Scadaboo back, get Neighbors back. I'm all in on Jackson Dart. Like he's going to be in that echelon of Lamar, Mahomes, Hurts, Allen when it comes to fantasy. When it comes to fantasy.
All right.
Yeah. No, I don't know what he'll be as a winner in the NFL. But for fantasy, the dude runs like the wind. Like, yes, give me that for fantasy football.
All right. How many goals did the Blues give up tonight?
Probably 6. I don't know. How many does Jordan Binnington try to stuff into his pants after?
Yeah, that's the question, I suppose.
They're going to lose. I mean, I can't go into a game expecting they're going to win right now, the way it's gone.
I heard about I didn't watch the game live, but I heard about it afterwards, and I was like, I was being told what happened. Jordan Binnington trying to hide the puck, and I thought the more likely scenario was that he was going to take the puck and chuck it at somebody, knowing Jordan Binnington. Like, geez. I mean, that would be more indicative of the type of season, I suppose, that the Blues have had, trying to take out some sort of frustration. Like that, fives are just tough, man. I don't know. I don't know what this team is. Maybe they're just bad.
Hopefully not. I'm praying they're not.
So we'll see what happens tonight for them. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks to Eli Hoff of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch for joining us last hour. You can check that out on our podcast page right now if you missed it. Mizzou women's basketball coverage starts at 6:15. Tigers visiting Tulane tonight, so stay tuned for that. We'll see you at 4 tomorrow. He's Brenden. I'm Andy. We're done for now.